Alright, so for today, we will be creating a 3D watershed and talking about how, well, one, what a watershed is and how humans can have an impact on the environment. So today we will just be using items that you can find in a house, in a classroom. So first thing that we will use is an aluminum container. Then with me I have some water bottles. So I'll place that here, just like that on both sides, just like such. And then, let's be using these two. And also you can use, like Tupperware, small Tupperware containers. Two on both sides. So I have two on both sides, water bottle. Then I just have another cup, okay? And last but not least, we will use some foil paper. Now, place this down right on top of everything. I'll just fold this here. In the back. Alright, so pretty much done. So now with the topography, you're going to want one section to be higher than the others because the water is going to flow downwards. Because in a watershed, we're all part of a watershed. And simply put, a watershed is just an area of land that contains lakes and streams or rivers that all flow to a bigger body of water, okay? They all flow to the same larger body of water. So it kind of acts like a funnel because all the water flows to one central point. So that's why I created sort of like a mountain or a hill, okay? Because the water is going to flow downwards. So just to make it more interesting, we will now put down some materials, okay, to make it as if this was a town on top of a watershed, or in a watershed rather. So we have a factory right here. We have a farmhouse, and a barn. They will be on this side. They have a tractor. Then we have our construction site right over here. And we have a house. And we have another building. Let's say it's a bank. Okay. Alright, so we have everything laid out. Okay, this is going to represent like a small town or a city, okay, that's in a watershed. So we have a farm, we have the construction site, the factory, the bank, the neighborhood. So now it's time to add some supplies that's going to represent pollutants, okay? So these chocolate sprinkles, they will represent poop from animals. Now, a farm, they're gonna have a lot of different animals, right? So we're just gonna add some sprinkles right here. What's another place that might have some animals? Maybe a neighborhood, may have some pets. Put some right there. Next up, this will represent trash. Place it on the farm. Place it in my neighborhood. Bank, the construction site, and the factory. Maybe people were eating some things and they didn't dispose of the trash properly. So they left it on the ground, and then the wind blew the trash all over town, okay? So we have trash all over town. Now, this powder, you can use cinnamon or chocolate. This is just Hershey's chocolate powder. This will represent dirt, okay? So we're gonna have dirt on the farm, have some dirt in the neighborhood. definitely a lot of dirt at that construction site because they're doing a lot of building. So the building, they're disrupting the ground and causing a lot of excess dirt. So we'll just add a little bit more. Now, the farm. So the farm, they have crops, and they place things on the crops so the bugs don't eat the crops, and that is called pesticides. So I'll just be using crushed goldfish to represent pesticides. So I add that to my farm, just like that. And then the green dye will represent fertilizer. Use that on the farm. Now this is just kind of like worst case scenario type of thing, because the farmers, more so than anyone, are going to be more environmentally friendly because they work on the ground, and it's very important that they understand how to keep the environment healthy because they're counting on the environment, the ground for them to make a living. So the yellow dye will represent oil. Unfortunately, our farmer, his tractor is leaking oil. Oh boy, he needs to get that looked at. And let's say maybe the truck at the construction site is leaking oil. A homeowner's vehicle is leaking oil. And then at the neighborhood, I don't know about you, but I've seen people wash their cars, in their driveway. So this blue dye will represent the soap that they use to wash the cars. And going back to the oil, we're going to add some for the factory. This is very important. I don't know if you can see it, but the factory has a tube, okay? Sticking out of the factory, okay? Now, unfortunately, this factory is producing a lot of oil, and the oil is being dumped out of this tube into a nearby stream, and the stream is going to flow directly into the direction of the Chesapeake Bay, okay? So now that we can tell that there is oil coming out of this tube, that will be basically what's called point source pollution. There's two types of pollution: non-point source pollution and point source pollution. Point source pollution, hence the word point source, is when you can figure out and point to where the pollution is coming from. We know the pollution is coming from this pipe because in a minute we will see the oil seep through the pipe and into the stream and make its way to the bay. Now, non-point source pollution is kind of in the name, non-point source. So we can't really point to it. We don't necessarily know where the pollution is coming from. So you have non-point source where you can point to it, we know where the pollution is coming from, and then non-point source pollution. We're not sure where the pollution is coming from. We don't know the source of the pollution. All right, so we added all the different pollutants to our city. Now it's time for some rain. So let's see what might happen once we make it rain. So I'll just use my bottom. So now it's going to start to rain. Top of the hill. And I'm just going to add a little bit more water, okay? So I like drizzle. Now it's really going to come down heavy. All right, so what just happened here? Just rained, okay? And the rain was hitting the water, and then it was transporting the poop, the dirt, the fertilizer, all the different pollutants that was on the ground, and it transported it all over the place, okay? Some of the water went into the storm drains, okay, which makes its way into the bay. Some went to the nearby streams or rivers, and which connects to a bigger body of water, so it ultimately made its way to the bay, which is down here, okay? just down there. Let's see if you can see that. Let's get you a little closer. Look the bay. So I'm just gonna raise the screen up a little bit. All right, so you can look at our town. So when it rained, all of the water from the streams to the ponds to the lake, or the river, it all flowed to one central area. Kind of made a funnel, right? That's what a watershed is. That's what it does. All the water flowed into one place, which is the bay. As you can see here, it's looking pretty nasty, okay? Because it's a combination of all these different pollutants. And how does this cause a problem to the environment, you might ask? Well, when you have a lot of dirt in the water, it can actually get into the fish's gills, and it can clog it, and they can suffocate and die. Another thing is, remember, we have a lot of fertilizer that was placed on the lawns, in the neighborhoods, and on the farm. And remember, fertilizer helps the grass grow. So when you have a lot of fertilizer in the water, it causes the algae to grow at a rapid pace, okay? So it causes it to grow and grow and grow. And before you know it, there's so much algae in the water and dirt that when the sunlight hits the water, it can't pass through this thick layer of algae. And so the sunlight cannot reach the plants and the grass in the water. And so remember, what do plants need in order to survive? Well, you guessed it, sunlight, right? So if they receive no sunlight, what do you think will happen to the grass? It will die. And this is a big problem because the grasses help in a lot of different ways. They provide a habitat, so a home for a lot of different animals. They provide oxygen in the water, and also it provides food. So without the grasses, less food, less oxygen, and less habitat in the water, which is a big problem because the animals need that in order to survive. Another thing that happens is, of course, we know there's all the different oils in the water, and that's not good for the fish. And so remember we talked about the fertilizer and the algae growing? So when the algae dies, there's a bacteria that eats it, and then it sucks up the oxygen in the water. All right, so in that area, there's no oxygen in the water, or very little. And that's a big problem, okay? Those are called dead zones. When the oxygen, there's no oxygen in that part of the water. And that causes the fish to die. They suffocate, there's no oxygen in the water. So there's a lot of different issues, okay? And as we know, with trash in the water, a lot of animals mistaken that as food, and they try to eat let's say a plastic bag or something like that, and they can suffocate and die, or it messes up with their digestion. So we don't want that. So what are some things we can do to help slow down the process of pollution, or help just clean up our city? Well, remember the trash. We can pick up the trash. We see it on the ground. We can recycle properly. Remember the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. I'm sure you've heard of that in your class. What other things we can do? We can use alternative methods. Instead of using a lot of fertilizer or different things, instead of using fertilizer and pesticides, we can carpool. We can maybe ride a bicycle or walk, if it's close enough, okay? There's a lot of different things you can do to help the environment, okay? You can make a difference. Starting today, you can really make an impact. So just remember that you play a role in this. So I hope this was educational. I hope you learned something new. And I encourage you to try this, to create your own watershed at home. It's a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day. Bye.